This planting season was one for the books, with the farm record of finishing the earliest we ever had and a number of breakdowns, one of which is the biggest I've ever caused during seeding. It was an interesting year, but it blows my mind with the amount that we were able to get accomplished in such a short amount of time. We started seeding April 28th, which is by no means early. A couple years ago, we had 1,000 acres done early April, and then it got snowed on, but those were some of our best crops that year. It always seems like the earlier you put it in, the better your crop is. But so we started midday Monday, and as first days go, we were working out some kinks, figuring out some things, and we didn't get a whole lot done. Then Monday evening, I showed up around 9 o'clock. They had just finished loading the seed tank, and we had hooked up a new anhydrous tank, and I was gonna hop on and run till 2 a.m. So by the time we got all that switched around, it was probably 10 o'clock, and I had this one section of headland that I had to do before I could get into the meat of the field. And within 5 minutes, I got stuck in a ditch on a corner, which is about the worst place you could get stuck with a 2-track, because you can't turn when it's wet, and the ditch made it worse. And I should have called my brother, but I was like, oh, I could probably get it out. Well, I was able to get it out, but in the process, I ripped this air cart off of the seeder. It didn't break over here, it cracked the hitch off right where the welds are. And some guy was asking me, well, didn't the safety chains work? They worked perfectly, because the hitch part that the safety chains were attached to was still attached to the air seeder. But then the next day, we had someone working on it at 7:30. We had 3 or 4 guys working on it all day. And by 7:30 in the evening, we were back up and seeding again, and we were making acres, which was awesome. I am blown away by what we were able to accomplish that day. I know when this thing broke that evening, man, I was feeling low. I was upset. I thought, oh, we're gonna lose a week. But we crushed it, and we got it back going again. Usually we will have the air seeder running for a week or 2 before the planter gets out and starts doing soybeans or sunflowers, but conditions were good, so Thursday of the same week, the planter started rolling on sunflowers, which in and of itself was a challenge because of the seed size that we were given. We got number 4s. Usually we have 1s or 2s. So 1s or 2s are a bigger size seed. And with the number 4s, we had to crank the vacuum way down. We were running at 4 inches of water for the vacuum. And because of that, we were still getting a lot of doubles and triples. But with so low vacuum, you hit a bump and it knocks your seat plate off. So we struggled and played with that pretty much all Thursday. We tried out a different set of discs. Nothing was helping. But we kind of got it dialed into the best that we could with that seed size that we were given. And we started rolling hard with the planter on Friday. By this time, the air seeder had already done 1,000 acres, and we had kind of got an idea of what this year would look like. And it turns out this year was gonna look like a lot of leaking seed lines. It always seems like you run for 2 or 3 years, and then the 3rd or 4th year, you start springing all kinds of leaks because all your tubes are getting thin. So that was what this year was. And we just had to do a lot of patching. I mean, you can see there was a hole there, there was a hole there. We had numerous lines on the unit there, also spring leaks. For this season, my shift turned out to be from noon till 2 a.m. And we had thrown around the ideas of running 24/7 or whatever, but that's really hard on the guys, but we knew we needed to keep this unit running more. So I would start the day around noon, and I would either fix things or I would pick up seed, and I would tender the air seeder or the planter, and I would just make sure that we keep these units rolling. Then I'd get to go home maybe for an hour or 2 in the evening, hang out with the family, see the kids, have supper, that sort of thing, which I loved. I think the shift was fantastic. It gave me a bit more time with my family, which is really a hard thing when you have a young family during seeding, and I want to see them. But then after that, I would hop on the air seeder, depending who was running on it, it would be either 9 to 11 p.m. And then I would have to do one fill by myself, and I would run till around 2 a.m. And it worked well. I really did enjoy the shift. Night shift is kind of fun. It's just a different pace and atmosphere. But because of all the seed lines we had breaking, my night shifts were fully supported by ditch garbage and duct tape. I would find a leak, then I would find some plastic or metal or a bottle or something in a ditch, and I would cut it up, put it on the hole, and wrap it with duct tape. But that's what kept me going, and we needed to keep going. The planter usually does about half the farm's acres between beans, sunflowers. That's all it did this year, but sometimes it'll do canola and corn as well. The planter this year performed flawlessly. It worked great. It didn't have any issues. We didn't lose any parts. And it just showed up to the field and ran, which is awesome. Also, it's crazy to think this planter did 10 or 11 days and it was done. I spend more time working on this planter in the winter than it spent actually planting. It did what it needed to do, and that was a good thing. On our farm, previously to this year, we would usually run 2 air seeders and a planter. My brother would have our 3710 Concord, and my dad would run his 60-foot. But this year, we decided, let's drop this air seeder, one less machine to maintain, don't have a tractor unit to keep going, and then we can just focus all our energy on the other air seeder. And it had its own set of problems. We had a lot of seed tubes that were worn through, and we'll change them for next year. But all in all, that air seeder performed fantastically as well. And with that one being 60 foot and this one 37 foot and a worse tractor, smaller auger, what this one did in 10 hours, that other one I would say easily does it in 4 to 5 hours, because your loading time is 25% and you're just covering way more acres. So it was a good decision, and it made management way easier. We could run the other one longer. We had more guys to keep the other one going, help people fill, and it was a good choice all in all. On the third last day of harvest, the auger, which isn't there, broke off of the air cart. And that was annoying, but we had 500 acres left. So instead of putting it down for a day, trying to fix it, get new lines, all that stuff, we just decided, let's get the conveyor belt out here and we'll just load the cart that way, because there was rain coming and we just wanted to get this thing done. There was 2 fields left. We'll struggle with the conveyor belt, but we'll get it done. So 2 weeks later, pretty much to the day, on May 12th, we finished seeding. That Monday, we finished up late in the evening. The planter was finishing up its bean field, and we were finishing up our last field, which was actually perennial ryegrass, but it got written off this spring. Along with seeding, rolling is always part of the equation when it comes to the busy season. So we rolled just about 3,000 acres. We rolled all our bee land. We rolled 1 sunflower field just because of conditions and we wanted to see what it would do. And then we rolled 2 fields that we had seeded into perennial ryegrass. And we had the 895 on it for most of rolling season, and it didn't have AC, but it wasn't terrible because it wasn't really hot and it was windy, so it was pretty manageable. But then we kind of got into a really hot stretch. We had 750 acres left and it was looking like it was going to be a scorcher, so we decided to put the 936 on, which, I mean, operator comfort is a big thing, because when you're running those big days and you're rolling at higher speeds, you don't want to be super burnt out and fatigued. But that wasn't necessarily a great decision, because we put this tractor on and then 3 hours later a coolant fitting broke, so then I had to go fix that. 2 hours after that, we had issues with our hydraulic couplers when we wanted to go to the next field and we couldn't fold up the roller. And then the next 2 days, I don't know if it was solar flares or this tractor GPS is just going out, but we had nothing but GPS problems. It wouldn't lock on, or it would constantly kick us out, or if it was keeping you on, it wouldn't paint, which, I mean, that's not the biggest deal, but it was something that we had to deal with. But we got the rolling wrapped up on Wednesday, and then right after that, Thursday and Friday, we got just over an inch of rain. So timing worked out really well. This is the tractor that me and my brother had just bought, the 855, and we were actually planning on using it on the roller all year. We wanted to use our tractor, put some hours on it, see how it would do. Unfortunately, the GPS we had ordered for it, well, it just didn't come in. We still haven't gotten it. So without GPS, it's really inefficient. So we just said we wouldn't do it. Plus, we're also waiting to figure out the insurance issue on our tracks. So it wasn't the biggest deal. We've got tractors. Although we weren't planning on using really any of the Verstyles. The 895, 875, they both need to be sold. And the 936, I mean, it's gonna stick around, but it's not gonna do much. All in all, it was a great seeding window. We didn't have any fields split up due to rain or other weather events, which should really help with crop timing and spraying and even stages of ripeness during harvest. And hopefully, since we got it in so early, we're able to maybe get an early start on harvest, maybe have a break in between beans or something. But hopefully that sets up the rest of the year to go pretty well. It was a couple of tiring weeks, and it just felt like we were dealing with one problem after the next. But once this day was finished and the next one came, we ended up just having a ton of acres done every day, and we soared through it, and it was really nice. So here's to hopefully having a good rest of our year and things turning out.